Hey there, friends, and welcome to this Saturday, October 3rd edition of the DaveCast. I'm obviously remote today. I'm in St. Simon's Island, where I have been all week, the first part of the week doing some sermon prep things, and now I'm at a high school reunion with some high school buddies. Right now, currently, though, I am on the beautiful campus of St. Simon's United Methodist Church, one of our sister churches down here that does great ministry. Today it's a Saturday. We have a interview. It's Auvronette Guilbeaux of Phoenix Pass. She's no stranger to Conyers First or the Conyers community, and she talks to us today about some very important things. So let's go to that interview. Then I'll come back and give you a few announcements about tomorrow's worship service. Yeah. All right, so I'm delighted this day to have with us someone no stranger to Conyers First, Auvronette Guilbeaux, who is Executive Director over at Phoenix Pass. And so welcome, Auvronette.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
Yeah, it's great.
Pastor Benson, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, well, always. And we've worked on some projects together, and particularly in Leadership Rockdale, which I want to get to in just a second. But first of all, I wanted to check in on Phoenix Pass and how you guys have done through the pandemic. I'm sure it hasn't been without its challenges.
You are absolutely correct, and thank you for just giving us this opportunity to have your platform for a second. So thank you very much for that. And yes, we are supportive housing for women and children who are experiencing homelessness. So it's a unique population right now. Mm-hmm. The kids are, we've had to make plenty of adjustments. Some of our moms work, some of them were essential workers, some weren't. Mm-hmm. Some work for the school system. And so, of course, we're doing virtual learning, Rockdale County is. And so because of that, we hired a student proctor to be on the property with the kids, checks in every hour on the children to make sure that they're doing good, or if they have problems that come up, that we're able to help them with their learning process. So it's been a really good experience all in all. For the most part, we are trying to just, fundraising is down, of course, because we're just not doing that right now. We do plan on having our Frosty 5K in January.
Awesome.
But the golf tournament and other things. So donations are down, but the community is still supporting us in other ways. So we really don't have any complaints.
Well, I know, Phoenix Pass and Whole Lighthouse Village is it's a great thing that our community does and that our church certainly supports. I'll put in the program notes, I will put links to that. And I was going to ask what were some things that we might be able to do at Conyers First, but it sounds like with donations down that you'll take money, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
We most certainly will. We still have operating, that we have to do to be able to afford to give these women second chances like the community does. I'm telling you, if it was not for the Rockdale community and just the do-gooders, the people who just want to see a better world, I'm telling you, I don't know, we wouldn't be this far. I can tell you that. So any donation would be great. Yeah.
There's one more question on like that. I know that, and we'll get into this a little bit when we talk about mental health, but I know that I've heard like domestic abuse is up during COVID.
It is.
If y'all had to have any response with that or.
That's a great question. So what we've experienced were the kids because of just being the cabin fever thing. I mean, they have just, we've had to really put some things in place. Like the moms have to be outside when they're outside playing, no matter what the age is. Because, teenagers are pretty independent. But because of the high aggression.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Because of the high aggression that's going on with the teenagers, we've had to put things in place like you have to be outside with your children. No one, before the children were helping to do the laundry. Now they can't help at all to do the laundry because they seem to wander and veer off. And so we've had to put those type of things in place. We've also had officials from the school system to come and talk to the moms about homeschooling and what that looks like and what they need to do even though they're working. And so we put things in place to help them to be guided through the process, if you will. But I can see how family violence would be on the rise. Sibling fighting, who ordinarily wouldn't fight, is cabin fever at its best.
Yeah.
Or
And so,
worst.
Auvronette, you and I, our paths crossed because of Phoenix Pass, but we crossed in other places in the community too. We're both working with the Leadership Rockdale with the alumni. And so what really, I wanted to talk to you about Phoenix Pass, but our group got together the other day trying to think of something we could do during this time of sheltering in place, and can't do the traditional things we've done with Leadership Rockdale. We had a very interesting conversation about mental health. Maybe that was something we could do to help good community, help folks with mental health. And you had some very profound things to say. So I was going to toss the ball to you to talk about that and how we can work on our own self-awareness and help in our families and our churches and communities with the whole area of mental health.
Okay, so just putting it out there, I am a Christian, I am faith-based, but I realize in respect to other faiths, there are many others. Mm-hmm. And so, but the one thing that we have in common is, how do we feed our spirit? Mm-hmm. That's a question I often ask the women, ask myself, ask others, is how are you feeding your spirit, especially right now? Because this is a perfect opportunity for those who are diagnosed, undiagnosed, and not any mental illness at all, to really just kind of check in with yourself and see where you are. Mm-hmm. One of the ways that people feed their body, their spirit, and their soul is through videos, through fun activities, or what they consider fun activities. But a lot of times what's happening is the negatives behind all of that social media is also getting in our psyche. Mm-hmm. And so what we tend to do is offer suggestions of bike riding, of writing, journaling, doing activities that's going to empower you and help you to engage in a more positive way. Mm-hmm. Because what we find is, when you're listening to the negativity, and let me just say, some of the important things that we're challenged with today, all the different, different rights movements, all of those things are happening. And some of that is really positive, but there's always something negative that can be taken away from it. And so if that's not really what if you're joining a bandwagon to join a bandwagon, that's something else you want to check. Mm-hmm. Because there are things that are just going to always be important. Right now we have voting coming up. Right now we have a census going on. Those are meaningful activities. Mm-hmm. They're going to play a huge part in the census. If Rockdale gets government money, for different things that we want to support and participate in. So that's something that's worthwhile. I mean, it's really a good thing to help promote the census, to take the census. Voting is whatever side you're on, voting is very important. Again, it goes back to what's happening within our community, mm-hmm. what's at stake. It's more than just a black and white issue. It's like policy. So learning more, but this is an opportunity to learn more about your neighborhood, your community, your neighbor, and what are their interests. One of the things that you're not afraid of, and I'm not afraid of, is challenging those people who have thoughts and opinions. We want to engage. We're not concerned about your status of who you're dating, all of that. We're concerned about your heart condition. Mm-hmm. Where's your heart condition? And so the heart condition is when you're on the right side of doing what's right, mm-hmm. so to speak. And that's kind of an important statement, in as much as that your beliefs are important. They're important for your growth. Mm-hmm. How is that going to affect the community? Mm-hmm. So it goes back to, I believe Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. Mm-hmm. So let's do that. Mm-hmm. And so I always ask the question of, how are you feeding your spirit? And it's either going to be the good or the bad. There's no in between. I mean, you can be in between, but it's going to be, are you over here promoting negativity? Are you over there having gossiping conversations about something you know nothing about? And are you over here saying, well, let's see how we can, change the face of Rockdale County. Let's see how we can, and it sounds idealistic. It's not. It really is how we start making change in our society.
Yeah, and the whole feeding the spirit, that's such a good analogy, a good example, because we're in a time of great division, and a lot of uncertainty has caused a stress level of so many of us, of all of us, just all around. And so, if it's sort of the tribalism that we get into, and so if you're feeding it only with negative, getting ready for the fight and the debate rather than getting ready to answer or looking for something that can be peaceful, it's not bringing our community forward. It's just further dividing us and causing more problems and more things to overcome.
Well, and then we have to ask ourselves, how much of the fear are we spreading?
Right.
How much are we being courageous in conversations to change the conversation?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about Dora's daughter who just got pregnant. She's only 14.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about that in a negative way. I want to say, well, are there parenting classes for kids that age? So it's the questions that we're asking, how much are we engaging into the negativity?
Mm-hmm.
And how much are we putting a positive spin on it? I venture to say a lot of people are just not going to always do that because they don't want to make anybody else uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with someone comfortable because I'm uncomfortable a lot of times,
mm-hmm.
but you still have to do the hard work and change the conversation.
Exactly.
And it's hard to do that when you're around people. One of the things I teach one of the classes, and it's an empowerment class, and it's a diversity class.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell them, look at the people around you. Are they all yes people? Mm-hmm. If they're yes people, you shouldn't be confident. You shouldn't be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
You want other people to call you on your stuff, so to speak. And it doesn't always have to look nice. I remember once I was really inspired to start a youth empowerment here. And I waited and I'm like, okay, I got to have the right speaker. I got to have the right person to cover us. I got to have the right everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then I heard the little voice again say, okay, have you started that youth empowerment yet? And I'm like, nope, I'm going to get to it though, because this got to be a really good grand opening. I heard it a third time. Did you start that youth empowerment? I knew then. I didn't care what it needed to look like per se. I just need to follow the vision.
Just start, yeah.
Just start the vision. And from that, we've had a wonderful group called Beyond the Bell to help us. We have partnered with the Scouts, the Boy Scouts of America. I mean, you see how we focus so much on what we think it should look like? Mm-hmm. Because we're such visionaries, and that's what I'm saying. I just think sometimes we get caught up in our ego, in ourself, and we just don't carry the vision. It's okay if you're in a group of people who oppose you, mm-hmm. because that type of division, being on the left and being on the right, you can find some type of common ground everywhere to talk about. Number one, we're all human. We all deserve to have proper shelter. That's my big thing with working with this community that I work with, is that I'm going to fight because they deserve to have just the same opportunities as someone else. Mm-hmm. When they first come into our program, we're not looking at what they've done. We're looking at what they're going to do when they're in this program.
Right.
And so I guess what I'm saying with that is the judgment is off. Mm-hmm. I can't look at the fact that, I just saw you, spit tobacco out and I can't have a conversation with you. I need to look at the fact that you're a human being. You probably got a lot to say. Mm-hmm. You probably have a lot to say. And I'm so interested in hearing what people have to say. I mean, that's just one of them. I believe that anybody can I was talking to a gentleman at AutoZone. And, I'm like, okay, he was a little chatty, but oh my gosh, he told a brave and beautiful story. He had lost his wife and he used to, I guess, do tow trucking. And he said, but he himself ended up being in a really bad accident. And from that accident, he realized he played the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the hospital just wouldn't allow him to do it. He goes, y'all going to feed me since I got to be here. And they told him, no, we're not going to feed you. You're going to feed yourself. Man, that just inspired me. Because I'm like, how many times have I played the victim? Even in my position as executive director. Oh my gosh, what we're going to do? Oh my gosh, donations down. No, first of all, you're going to get out of that mindset. And you're empowered to do something. You have a voice. And use that voice for the good. And so we have newsletters. Use that newsletter for good. You have podcasts. Use it for the good. Put the word out there. And sure enough, we did that. I got off that little wheel and said, okay, you know what? I can send out letters. And from that, we got donations. You know, because you listen, guess what? When you start listening to other people say, our donations are down. Oh my gosh, people are not having fundraisers. People are still giving. There are other people who are like-minded. And it's not always giving of finances, by the way. It's coming on Zoom. It's coming on, it's going out in the community and still promoting those things that are really good and beneficial and worth fighting for. And so how I feed my spirit, Dave, is I do read the word daily. When I have a negative thought, I have a positive word. And it may be just one word. And I might have to talk to myself like I'm a friend and say, okay, Auvronette, okay, that's your thinking's going too far. You're too far. I immediately start calling people and telling them how wonderful they are. Not a lie, but the truth. So it's speaking life into other people and other situations. And that doesn't have to be based on a faith. That's just based on, let me exhort somebody else. Let me tell somebody else's program that they're doing a really good job. Let me take them, I just took someone a little tea set because they told me they like tea. That meant that's nothing. And it's coming from a really good place. It's small things. If you, another way to feed your spirit is when you read an article, you share the information that you have. And so it's just so many ways to bring that good stuff in. Learn something new.
Those are.
I said, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say
Go
that.
ahead.
All you know, and that all leads to good mental health. You know, what it does to, I mean, just on a biological sense of the brain chemistry of practicing kindness, of putting the other before self, as opposed to withdrawing and looking at the other as other or enemy or someone to be opposed. And so feeding our spirits and then seeking first to understand and then to be understood, I think is positive and hopeful.
That is, you just said a lot. Everything you said was absolutely spot on. Doing for other people, getting outside of yourself. If you want to talk about decreasing aggression and violence, do something for someone else. Don't even ask, just go and do it. Go cut someone else's grass. Go pick up trash that you see that's sprawled out everywhere. I mean, just do something rather than be inside yourself. You just said a mouthful. That was very powerful. And because that is the quickest return on mental health, because you're outside of yourself. You're not thinking about you. And so that normally takes the focus off whatever you thought you were going through. And there's always some wonderful benefit in that. I think that's a wonderful way to feed the spirit.
Well, Auvronette, this has been fascinating. I appreciate your time. This has been so good. We may have to have you back and have a part 2 on this. But I appreciate all that you do as a friend, all you do for Phoenix Pass, and all you do in the community. So we look forward to working with you some more. But God bless you. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we thank you for sharing with us here on the DaveCast this morning.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
You're wonderful.
Yeah. We'll talk to you soon, Auvronette. All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Auvronette, so much for those wise words. Tomorrow is the first Sunday of the month, and so as we come together to worship, whether you are worshiping with us online or listening to it on the telephone, or whether you are coming to our in-person worship service at the church sanctuary, it is communion. We'll be doing it safely at the church as we did at our outside services with using the little communion packs. If you are worshiping in home, if you would make preparations for that, get you some bread and some juice together so that you can participate when we get to that part of the service. Next Tuesday and Thursday, I'll continue in our study, the book of James. But for today, let me say, have a great Saturday, Friday, because I know that I am. I'll be back at church tomorrow in the morning, though, and I hope to see you either online or in person. God bless you, and have a great day. Keep safe. Keep bringing the hope.